You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the Meta. The Meta controls everything. The Meta determines what will and will not happen. You are watching.
Hold on. It's got the audio off. I hate this thing. Okay, when do you guys say something real quick? Oh, hey, you guys are here! Woohoo! We're live! It works! Welcome to Meta Show! I am DeVigor Boat and be your host today, and Mittens is not here today. So we have Mutani. Hi, say hi, Mutani.
Hello. Although you've got my name wrong, you've got
the
former leader. Yeah, it's like there has been a cultural revolution, yes again, and I'm now back in charge.
Yeah, so we have a nominate Aerith from the CSM. Hello, hello, hello.
Yep.
Say hi.
Hi.
You're not helping. And then Thomas Lear's here. Hi, Thomas.
Hi.
I wanted to call you Elite Low-Sec PvPer because of all your work in Gehi recently, but I didn't know if that would count.
Terrible system.
Yeah, I'm having an interesting day because Mittens is normally here to do like the majority of the talking, and he's not here. So, and I normally just have to.
Yeah, well, I'm around to kind of patch up on that a little bit, and hopefully we're going to be able to prevent you from showing any dick pics as well this week. So that's my goal for today.
Wait, that wasn't. Wait, that was some random nerd in Iceland. That wasn't even me. What the hell?
Hey, look, no, you still did it. You still put it on stream. Anyway, come on then, boat.
Yes!
Like, we've got
what are we doing today? We got
so,
shit to do.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
So yeah, today let's go over what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about the CSM. CSM's here. Nomin and Aerith are here to chat with us about some things. And then in the Nullsec Power Hour, we're gonna talk about some things that happened that are kind of hilarious. Tri is in the middle of cleaning house. For those of you that haven't been watching the news this week, Tri is killing all their renters and pets and former allies. And they're cleaning up, and there's some hilarious commentary from that. Initiative has invaded empty space. Used to be owned by, I guess, NC, but now it's just Tribute. NC's not living there right now. They're down in Gehi, so Initiative looks to be taking that over. PL attempted to use the new T3 cruisers after the patch. It didn't go very well. We have some questions for our esteemed panel here about T3 cruisers, if Lokis are the way forward. And then we're also going to talk about a random low-sec fight that led to some super kills, and it was hilarious. Yeah, so to get jumped right into it, what you see right now in the background, right here on the moving screen, that is the Inner Hell, or FS, Free Space Rangers Keepstar, that is currently dying in some random wormhole. Do you guys even know what the wormhole is called?
I know it starts with J.
Yeah, and it's some wormhole, but apparently it's dying. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about that. We're also going to be looking at...
Well, it's about to die imminently, isn't it? So,
yeah,
it's also... Minutes. And who's it being attacked by there, boat?
Hard Knocks and Laserhawks are killing it.
And who do they have affiliations with?
Everyone in wormhole space? I mean, they're the wormhole CSC.
Okay. And yeah, and well, and they're also known to kind of hang out with some other people.
Oh yeah, PL. They're PL pets. I forgot about that.
Well done. You got there in the end.
There we go.
It only took a little bit of coaching.
Sorry, I forgot. But yeah, what's great about this, for those that don't know, as soon as it got attacked, Interhell transferred it to their alt corp. So now they're going to whore on the kill mail, and their kill board will be green. So the Interhell will not have a lost mail for a Keepstar, which I find hilarious. But this will be the first wormhole Keepstar to ever die in the game, so that's why we're showing it to you live. Okay, so new subscriber Steeran, thank you very much. As we move forward into our top story, and our top story today is going to be the CSM, who are here to provide us with lovely commentary. In a second.
Yeah, we're actually blessed with two of them, two properly big names from the CSM, and that have caused huge amounts of drama and influence and everything else. And you know, Oh yeah, good stuff. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yay! Fancy graphics for our transition sequences. You know,
Let's go into CSM stuff. So
yes!
you didn't mention that streamer has been basically tinfoiling all day.
Oh, he has the whole stream about how
spawned wormholes for Hard Knocks.
Yeah,
this was actually we
sorry.
actually decided this at the last summit.
Wait, are you serious? Wait, hold on. I didn't include this in my notes because I didn't know about this. Do tell, please.
At the last summit, we coordinated with Noobman, planned this all out ahead of time.
Was it a barbecue, and what were the main meats?
Yeah, what exactly was planned out here? This is the important question.
Absolutely none of it.
So it's NDA. Okay, can't talk about it. But I heard a rumor, and according to this guy from this stream, like I've been watching pretty much since it started, he says that he feels that Noobman and his CSM buddies are made it so that it's possible for them to get unlimited wormholes here, while everyone else can't get a wormhole to save their life. I'm wondering if that's the case.
I would say that there is definitely some truth that Noobman maybe had lobbied for changes that would be extremely beneficial to his playstyle and Alliance. Yes.
Wow. The tinfoil is real. Oh, I love it. All right, so outside of that minor tinfoil that I don't want to talk about because I don't want you guys to get kicked off the CSM, first things up to bat is July summer patch deployed successfully. Do you guys like this patch? You two. Did you enjoy it? I.e. the T3 cruiser changes. Were they good? Were they bad? Did you like them?
I don't know. I don't really worry too much about individual balance changes. I'm always just happy when they make changes.
Yeah, my thought on it is if they did the process right, I think the focus group was better ran than some previous ones. So I think they're nerfed to an appropriate level, I think. The Loki might be a little overpowered. We'll have to see how that plays out. Most people think it is.
Yeah, but the Loki used to be in a bad place, didn't it?
Yeah,
it was very kind of niche role.
I agree. So if CCP's intention was to give it a little love and kind of make it the flavor of the month for a little while, then it's probably right.
Yeah, I was looking at the Loki recently. We're going to talk about that here in a minute, later in the show. But what I see is groups are attempting to try and use T3s the way that they were before the patch, and we'll talk about later why it is that might not work. But is that what you're seeing? Is people are going, oh shit, T3s are shit, let's move to something else quick? Or are you still going to see them used?
I think you're still going to see them used, absolutely.
Yay. I don't know. I like the new T3s, but I'm biased. We went over that last week.
Well, I'm waiting for Thomas to actually chip in here because, one would hope that he actually knows something about T3Cs.
Yeah, I know. I like them. I love them. I think the swapping rig mechanic is going to be the biggest thing. You could do a ton of stuff with that, and it kind of is nice because now you can basically have one haul and do everything, which I'm looking forward to doing with a couple of my alts. So.
Well, a bunch of dreads are about to get zapped by a doomsday, I think.
Whoops.
They just warped all the things to whore on the kill Mel, and it's about to die any second. So, speaking of T3s, yeah, I for those that watched the boat show last night, I've been doing U-boating and solo roaming with my Tengu, and it literally pissed off like 30 guys that were camping a gate because they didn't think I had nullified fit, and I went to a safe spot for the nullifier, swapped all my rigs out, and then warped out on them, and then they gave up their gate camp, and they were pretty pissed. Because they didn't think it was possible to do that, so that was really neat. Also, Falcon announced this week that Captain Quarters are getting removed. They're working harder on Twitch integration. They're also working on some other optimizations like 64-bit Eve. What does that entail for Eve?
Well, there's a lot of legacy technical debt that came around about the Captain's Quarters, and a lot of people think it's like all the technical debt exclusively. I can't say, since they didn't say in the blog some of the other reasons they did it, but they highlighted those other reasons, and those other reasons are even more compelling than the technical debt.
Yeah, I don't know how much you guys saw about it, but are Captain's Quarters going away a good thing? Do we want them gone, or?
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't add anything to the game at this point. It's pretty clear that they're never going to have the resources to do anything with them. So all that having them in the game at this point does is cause extra work for implementing features we actually want.
I see. That's awesome. That
It was basically chewing up
oh,
a
sorry.
team, yeah. It was chewing up like half a development team, essentially, which is a lot of
Wow,
man.
really? For captain's quarters?
Yeah, because it's just so different than the rest. They had to do all the regression testing every time that there was a release. Like, it's a lot of work.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't think about that. Having to, like, every patch go through and make sure it still works.
And that shit was like the most dated part because they never iterated on it, so it never really got.
Yeah, they said in the thread it uses outdated shit that they just didn't use anymore, or haven't used anymore. For those of you who curious about the link, I seem to have lost it. I had a link here somewhere, but moving on. Project Discovery is out. Good or bad? I remember the last time they did this with like the cells, and how a lot of players. Ooh, explosion! Keepstar's dead. With the cells and how CCP made it increasingly more difficult the better you were with it. And it looks like they're doing the same thing with Project Discovery. Over 30 different threads this week about Project Discovery. Good or bad?
I think there was an initial hit, but Anamana, you want to fill this one?
I don't know. It's a cool feature. It's actually useful playing a video game and contributing to actual science. And, you know, it's having people solving a hard problem. And it's sort of interesting with these because you often find people who are better at this than supercomputers.
Yeah.
There again, I'm going to kind of like chip in on this. I know that there were a few issues when it was first launched, people having like a few problems with it. Chimera was streaming on Imperium News and was kind of doing a guide as how best to actually do it, and apparently that was really good and helped people out. There have been fixes to that, which is apparently going to make it a little bit easier. But the biggest thing for me is it's a really kind of like interesting concept, and it actually relates to space, which is probably more appropriate for like a space game. So it's really, really nice to actually see that in there. I must confess, I haven't tried it myself because I knew it was going to be like problems, and I didn't want to become frustrated with the process that early on until I knew that we actually had a half decent method of how to do it.
Well, it seemed like the initial threads are all about the difficulty coming out of like the tutorial site.
Yeah.
But they supposedly fixed that, but then the more threads came saying, well, it's still jacked. So I don't really know if it's fixed.
Yeah, I'm going to be leaving it for another week or two, to be honest with you. But apparently on Imperium News, Chimera's like stream that he did, there was some really good info there.
So
sorry to cut in here. I'm looking at this Keepstar. All those freaking cans, man.
yeah, just so everyone's aware, those are 27,000 M3 each, and every one of those came out of the Keepstar. So if you lose a Keepstar or any kind of Citadel in wormhole space, there's no asset safety, so anything that was inside it becomes a lootable can, and they're giant cans that can be looted. So, yeah. Also, for those that don't know, this Keepstar was fit with the T2 DD rig, which is 600 billion ISK on the cheapest. And if you include the fact that the Keepstar costs 300 bill, which not a lot of people are, there's arguments about that, but ends up being about a 900 billion ISK lost mail.
Well, that's awesome. What we've got from the report like link there. But yeah, I mean, it's like trillion for a kill, and there's going to be some great salvaging opportunities there.
Oh, yeah.
Has anyone seen Johnny Ra there yet on the field?
No, he didn't make it in the system, I don't think.
10 grand, 10, almost $11,000. Life money, not that anybody cares.
Interesting how you would know that off the top of your head, Thomas Lear.
I mean, I totally didn't look at Zika and spill over.
I didn't know. I forgot I had that. But yeah, so the next topic, and has been a topic recently with the carrier changes and Rorqual changes, and this is the topic that's coming after that. And I experienced some of this myself last night. Delve and Fountain and a few other regions have NPC space. Is CCP going to look at putting NPC space into the drones so that people can actually live there that don't own space, like combat the place and fuck with the place in any way, shape, or form? Or CCP even looking at that right now? That you can talk about.
I don't know if we could have talked about that one or not.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't know.
My gut feeling would be why? Why would they create that headache for themselves?
So a lot of groups are putting a call out because, like with the drones right now, to go from any NPC place, so LowSec or NPC 00, to a part of the drones, it's 10 Sinos minimum. That's to go up.
Yep,
you know,
but that's been an issue ever since, like, you know,
Right.
that kind of space got expanded. So
Right. So the question is okay, you have a place like Delve. Now, Delve has NPC space that allows you to hit all of it. Fountain has NPC space that allows you to hit all of it. Should there be an equivalent somewhere in the drones? Kind of like how Stain is just kind of in there.
Well, I
what
would
do you think?
I would rephrase the question more as, do you
Do you
the
guys
premise
think
for
it
why you
should?
want it? No, I don't, because I think the premise isn't valid anymore. I think you can do the same thing with Citadels to an
Okay.
effective level.
Yeah, that is very true with Citadels, that it kind of removes that barrier of entry for the drone regions. But still, I mean, I think it would be kind of cool. I like NPC space. It gives you a lot of options. But again, who wants to go to the drone regions
Well,
besides
this leads-
some idiot and try?
This leads me to my next question then. If Citadels are a thing, like you say, okay, you have Citadels work, should then we get rid of NPC stations in 00? Because I'm of the belief that, like, say, PR-NPC stations should be gone. It should become like all these other conquerable stations are going to become, where you can blow them up if you wish.
But really, how am I going to pick up my burner missions? Really?
An NPC Citadel that can be blown up every week and then gets replaced by CCP. You know, something like that.
CCP did mention in the past that they had considered reducing the number of them, not completely eliminating, but maybe if there's 5 in a constellation, make it 2. I think that would be appropriate.
That would be pretty awesome. Because
I think there are two things really worth looking at. One is the number of NPC stations, and I think the other really is just the maximum distance from an NPC station, or the minimum distance from an NPC station.
like spread them out enough
Like,
to where. Okay.
Right, like there, like you mentioned the drone regions, but there's also like the deep corners of Omist and all the various other parts of Nullsec that are really a long way from anything.
That would be really awesome. Like, make it so that, like, there's one NPC station every so many light years, so that people could then, go across parts of Nullsec that aren't reachable right now. I don't know.
honestly would like to see one change. I kind of want to see with NPC stations is kind of get them back to why the original, what I thought was the original intent for them is, like, when you're, when you first start running missions in HiSec and you're first playing the game. You don't get pushed out to Nullsec. I would like CCP to maybe send those newer players out to Nullsec to run missions, even though it's not their exact cup of tea. But I think it would help expose them to different.
Like level 1s and 2s be out here, like you.
Yeah, but
I think
come
more
on,
like
it's like
level 3s, 4s, and 5s. Something like
Yeah,
that.
but
It definitely
on
takes
the-
a more experienced player to run it, but
Yeah, but on
it definitely
the-
pushes that way.
Yeah, but on the kind of entrance like system, such as like Keybers or what's that one up near EC Tech, Torinos, so any kind of like gateway system is just going to be permacamped by PvP elite killboard players that just like will farm the shit out of those people.
Welcome to 00.
Hey, if there are any changes made to the game to bring back gate camping, I'm all for them.
Yeah, that's an interesting view of it. Because I know that CCP's talked about this in the past, and maybe you guys can't talk about this because I haven't seen it public yet. But the idea of these new gates that can connect the deepest parts of Eve to other parts of Eve. So, for example, like a gate that went from Lowsec to Stain. So you wouldn't have to travel 5-6 regions just to get to Stain. You would go Lowsec gate to Stain. Or like, say, a gate that went to Peregrine Soul from there to HiSec. Something like that, like a player-owned gate. Do you think that'll ever come about?
Only if
think-
it's 1DQ1 to Jita, it'd be acceptable. I think.
I think maybe someday, like we haven't talked specifics in that area, so
Right.
it's not like we're talking NBA stuff here. But I don't see that anywhere on the horizon right now.
Okay. And then here, something interesting that got pointed out. CCP recently did a Q&A, for those that don't know. That happened on a Twitch stream. I honestly did not see it as much of a Q&A as it should have been. I think there should have been more like look at chat, get the questions from it, rather than ban people from chat. But that's my opinion. But what did come out of it was
They did actually take the questions. You had to post them on the forum, wasn't they? Wasn't
Yeah,
it? So they were actually like vetted questions. It wasn't an interactive kind of session at all. It was very
Right.
kind of staged, and apparently it wasn't quite the affair that people have been led to believe.
Yeah, not a lot of people were happy with it. Even guys who I would consider being happy, like that would enjoy something like that. So an example would be a guy named Seabass SA, as a goon that enjoys those kind of things. He said it wasn't as good as it was led to be. But what did come out of it was CCP Rise took it to a public place, I guess like a Discord channel, and was doing a Q&A in there. And one thing he mentioned here, if we could talk about this, all of you, including Thomas, because I know you're a big S.H.I.E.L.D. fan, he said Shield slaves are still coming. They just got pushed back due to the emergency carrier and Rorqual changes. Why were carriers that fucking needing to be nerfed here? Or, like, what the hell? Like, Shield slaves have been something they talked about for, what, 6-7 years? They had to push them back again. I'm interested to see where this goes. I mean, does Shield slaves help? Are they huge?
No.
No?
No, they won't solve anything.
Really?
They will improve? No. Because you look at the resist... Yeah, Jay is basically...
Please, go ahead.
Chat,
go ahead, Thomas.
But, yeah, he's right. The carriers were broken. You know, you could put 100 carriers on grid and basically alpha anything. It was pretty fucking broken.
Right.
But Shield slaves, you know, they're only increasing the raw EHP of a shield, you know, of a shield, whatever you put your body in after you put them in your head. You know, once you nuke off the resistances with newts on a shield carrier or a shield super, it doesn't matter how much raw HP you have. You're dead until you get capped. Right. So they're not going to change anything.
That's interesting. Indominate, Aerith. What do you think about Shield slaves? Are they actually going to come, or are they going to keep getting pushed back for all eternity?
Well, I'd rather have tackled your original premise, which was like, how could Shield slaves being pushed back for carrier nerfing, and why is carrier nerfing needed? Carrier nerfing is needed because if you look at the MER, CCP scared shitless of what that thing's telling them we're doing.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
So they look at Delve and go, fuck. Quickly.
It's not. I don't even think it's so much as Delve as null generation versus high sec.
Right.
Which we just happen to be the largest component of, obviously.
Okay. Indominate?
Well, yeah, like when you look at mining, for example, that's Delve. When you look at PvE and ratting, that's universal in nullsec.
I see.
But we do rat twice as much as the next person, right? So you have to combine like number 2 and 3 to rat as much as us. Like most people don't think of it that way, but that's roughly how it works out.
Yeah, one thing I would rather see, and of course this is from Mr. Bias. I don't know, Moomin, if you use a Shield Titan as much as I do, but Shield Titans are amazing.
Oh gosh, no! I'm just an F1 monkey, dear. That's me.
But the question I propose here is: would you rather have the 40% Shield slaves that are coming, or have passive invuln fields?
Well, you know, for me, it's like I'll just fly whatever is the thing that works. I mean, we've got people that work, you know, very hard at trying to get our shit together, that to make sure that it actually works well, and it's all been designed with a reason. Sometimes that doesn't quite go as well as expected, but you know, sometimes it does.
I would be so happy if they introduced passive and active, both shield and armor, adapted. I would be super happy with.
Yeah, I mean, because right now you have adaptive invuln fields or ENAMs, which are passive hardeners for the armor tank. And CCP's always said the reason that they have passive for armor tank and not shield tank is that shield tank passively regens. But let's be honest here, Leviathans don't regen for shit. And 40% more shield EHP, or effective shielding, does nothing if you have no hardeners. And since you have no passive hardeners, well, I'd rather them not worry about shield slaves and put in passive invuln fields. Do you think that'll ever happen?
I doubt it. Just because it would break... It would fix the nuding threat that shield supers and shield caps face, but it would break so many other portions of the game that,
well,
you know...
You look at shield fleets. Shield fleets can be bombed. So passive hardeners wouldn't really affect that. Like, they're still going to have their huge sig because shields have big sig. Like, I don't think... Like, CCP makes it out, and there's a couple of people out there that make it out, that passive invuln fields would be the end of the game because everyone would just use shield fleets. but I don't think that's the case. I mean, I don't know.
You
What
would
do you
see-
think?
You would definitely see more shield fleets. You would see some kind of a meta shift from armor to shield. Like right now, the meta is heavily into armor, unless you're talking about like an alpha fleet that you're defending, or a Cerberus fleet where you're just third party. You see a lot of armor whenever you're doing any kind of offensive work.
I mean,
especially against citadels.
what do you two think, Aerith and Nominate? Have they talked about anything other than the shield slaves coming? I mean, have they looked at passive hardeners for shields?
My sense
I don't
is.
think.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I don't think if they did that we would be able to say anything about it.
Perfect.
But really, what happened was Shield Supers briefly got good, and so a whole bunch of people decided that Shield Supers didn't actually suck and made the mistake of buying them. So, like, everyone who's flying a Shield Super now is dumb. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
Thanks.
I mean, shield supers have their place. Like the bridging rag is super broken now. You know.
Yeah, at the back of the fleet.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So one thing I want to point out here, and we'll get your opinions on this. Looking at this Keepstar that just died, it literally could have died to nothing but carriers, right? The carriers using their fighters could not be hit by the PDS. Is that broken? That carriers and super carriers can kill a Keepstar or even an Astra House, something that has, PDS without being able to fight back. I mean, the Keepstar's what, 300 billion? All 30 carriers, maybe 30 billion? Is that a balanced game mechanic?
I have no problem with a Keepstar dying like that when it's completely undefended. Like, if they're not willing to put up a defense fleet of some kind, it should die. It's that simple.
But, I mean...
yeah, and I mean, let's be honest here, those guys had absolutely no presence in there to defend it whatsoever. Yeah, so it's sort of like, if you can't defend it, you do not deserve it. That's
okay,
it.
And then we look at the CO2 one. They had 1,000 people in the Keepstar grid defending it, and it died to supers and fighters. Like, they could not do anything.
Oh, no,
So,
it didn't. It's like CO2. If you're on about that one in MTAC A,
right.
is that CO2 one, is CO2 fleet actually went off and was shooting XIX battleships instead. So they weren't there defending it. Is like CO2 wimped out of that fight.
Another thing is too, the thing that I think is super broken about carriers and and nullsec supers. You can see this with this Hard Knocks kill. They just dropped a Fortizar, X distance off the Keepstar and just moved their fighters over.
Right.
I think if you're going to be killing a Keepstar, maybe not an Astra House or a Fortizar, maybe a Fortizar, but definitely a Keepstar. If you're going to be putting that level of effort into killing something that expensive, you need to have less security. The fact that PL or whoever could just sit a bunch of supers and MTACO on a auto Fortizar and just use the guns or the fighters I thought was kind of shitty.
Here's where I think you could balance this, and Aerith, you could comment on this, maybe on the CSM thing, maybe Nominate too, is carriers don't need to have 1,000 or 4,000 kilometer lock range. Make it 1,000. Because right now you have to, Citadels can only be anchored 2k within each other, right? So you can have a Keepstar and then 2k away you can have a Fortizar. So if you make carriers stay locked to 1,000, like why do they need to lock to 4,000 or 5,000 kilometers? What is the benefit of that, other than this? Other than killing Keepstars at distance?
This is somewhat speculation, but it feels like they wanted some sort of gameplay to develop where carriers would be parked on their side, and it's like you're catapulting or trebucheting each other with carriers while a skirmish happens in the middle. It's like they have this vision of what the battlefield could look like, with subcaps engaging somewhere in the middle at the DMZ.
The fighter blob. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but I don't
like one side of the thing has carriers, the other side of the thing has carriers, and in the center is this big fight, and the fighters are coming in from the outside, like
basically,
like a trebuchet. Yeah, okay.
But you say that, but how large is the Keepstar? It's about 500 kilometers, isn't it? Something like that.
500-600 kilometers around.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, to me, half of this, almost kind of like Romanesque view of, oh, here I've got these particular phalanxes and they will organize themselves in this way. It's like, it's not going to play out in that three-dimensional space when it's like the thing you're shooting is 500 kilometers big.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Well,
saying.
yeah.
That's why it never developed that way. But that's what it feels like carriers are set up to do. But we don't. But
It's like
it
that's
was
their
used
plan.
effectively.
That was their plan.
The
but it just didn't
vulnerability
work.
timers. The vulnerability timers really throw that off.
Oh,
Like they're sitting there on. They're not just sitting there on a Fortizar. They're sitting there on an invulnerable Fortizar.
right.
This was something
So, like-
I was actually thinking about. Go ahead. Sorry, Mama.
Yeah, there is no opportunity for that kind of gameplay to open up.
Interesting.
Yeah, like if it was 2 fleets enter, 1 fleet leaves, that would be badass. But they're
Right.
just if they start taking losses or it looks like they're going to lose, they're just going to dock the.
They're gonna tether. Yeah, they're gonna tether up. Because that's the one thing this guy pointed out as the thing was dying. He's like, if we go kill those carriers, they'll just abandon their fighters and they'll tether, or they'll dock. Because as long as you're not scrammed or pointed, long pointed, you can dock. But to be able to get into point range of these things, you have to go inside the PDS range. Yet their fighters don't have to be in PDS range of the Keepstar to kill it. So to give you an idea, because the model of the Keepstar is so big that their fighters can be all spread out, if you're sitting in the center of the Keepstar, i.e. where you want to dock, those fighters are 135 kilometers away. Only ships that are going to hit that are ships that limit their tank to be able to hit that far. So I don't know. I think it's an interesting talking point because I'm serious considering to see where CCP goes. Now, do I think an undefended Keepstar should be able to defend itself purely against the big ass fleet? No. But the fact that they didn't have to bring in any self-caps, any caps, the DD on the Keepstar was useless. The PDS was useless. They literally had to fit small guns on the Keepstar just to shoot fighters during the first reinforcement timer. That's all they did was shoot fighters with the Keepstar guns. It seems like the Keepstar is just useless then at that point, other than a docking point for Titans and Supers. Like I don't see how. Like why would you spend $300 billion on something that can't defend itself from even the smallest of things? You know.
To be able to dock Titans and Supers.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's.
I don't think the PDS side of it is that big of a problem. I
Right.
think that fighting under tether is.
Fighting. Oh, so you're saying. Here's where I think they could fix that. Maybe you all can view this differently. If your fighters are in space, you can't tether, even if you abandon them. Boom. You have to recall your fighters. You have to have your fighters in, or you cannot tether / dock. What do you guys think about that? So even if your fighters, like if you're going to put your fighters 3,000 K away, like in the whole like Trebuchet Year of the Siege engine, you can't
Okay, so you
become
just
safe.
abandon them.
No, like
You
even
just
if you
abandon-
abandon them, right? Even if you abandon your fighters, they're still part of you in that
Don't
sense.
let them abandon them at all. Just remove abandoning.
Ooh.
I
Yeah, but
think
then
the
you could
abandon.
really-
No, you can't remove abandoning because the reason that is because in massive tie-dye fights, it sometimes is the only way to get rid of red cycling on fighters because
Right.
the interface sucks that much. So
I think just
If-
limiting the lock range is sufficient.
Yeah, like
yeah,
put it to 1,000. You can
I
still
would like to see
trebuchet.
even less than 1,000 because that'd still be able to have 2 citadels do this.
No, because citadels have to be 2,000 apart minimum. So at 1,000,
Right,
you
that's
couldn't
the
do the
point.
fighter thing.
You should have the middle ground still, and you can still influence. Have that. I don't even want that gameplay.
I see.
I think that good play would be good. But yeah,
And then finally, summer's pretty much over or coming to an end. What's next for the CSM? What's coming up in the fall? What's the next big push for your guys' CSMs? What are
Well,
you
we
guys
got-
wishing for?
Well, the summit's coming up, so
Right.
we're probably just going to start doing our agenda here in the next couple of weeks. Like,
Mhm.
First, I kind of want to see what people are interested in, because there's limited things that can go in a schedule or anything. Like anything we push forward this fall would probably not be realized till mid next year, for work to even start on it. So I want to be careful with what people expect because we got refinery still. We probably have a couple structures after that. We have a new balancing team. Like things are going to slow down a little bit.
Speaking of balancing team, do you like it? Do you think it's a good idea?
Yeah, we lobbied for it. Well, more specifically, Jintan lobbied his heart out for it. Like he's been lobbying for it for about a year now. So he finally got it.
That's interesting. Considering the his alliance probably will be dead come winter, but that's okay.
Yeah, they've not been having a great deal of luck recently, have they?
No, I don't think they're gonna last much longer. They've just
Yeah, well, I'm
become
just hoping that they
armatures.
bend the knee and kiss the ring. As long as they do that, they might be in with a shout. If they don't do that, then they're in big trouble.
Yeah, they could always just move into Dell, no problem. We'll
I asked Jin10 to join. He told me no. He said as long as CVA's still alive, he's still staying with CVA. But yeah, so cool. CSM, thank you. We're gonna move on now to the Nullsec Power Hour, and you guys get to comment as always because we're gonna make fun of some people. Before we do, Shakezilla, thank you for subscribing. Nathan for 3 months. We had a guy subscribe for 33 months earlier, but I don't know if I caught the name. I think I have it here somewhere. Hold on.
Oh my God, you're so terrible. You should have picked
I know.
up on that.
I wrote it down.
33 months. 33
I know,
months
it's
of
so
loyal service.
It's so amazing. It starts with an R, but I lost it. Hold on. Rum Waffle, I think it was. Or maybe it was. I'm so bad. I wrote it down and I lost it. Sorry. But yeah, we got to go on to the Nullsec Power Hour.
Black Eagles for the people that are loyal followers. Oh, there we go. Rum Waffle.
Yeah, it was Rum Waffles. Yay! 33 months. Like, holy fuck. That's a long time, dude. Thank you. That's a lot of money to throw at the stream. Yeah, so Nullsec Power Hour, and right away we make fun of PL, as we always do here on the Nullsec Power Hour, because PL are idiots today. I want to hear Thomas's view on this, because apparently you were there, or at least watching it from a distance. PL tried to take out their new version of AHAX, which is Beam Legions and Capitals, and they lost them all. I think like 5 people survived out of the 150 they had or so. What the fuck happened?
Yeah, they got memed on, basically. It sounded like, based on what I heard, I got there towards the tail end of the fight, just when all the caps were going down. Basically, it sounds like PL was reffing or killing some kind of Astro House that Brave had anchored, and it turned out that they jumped there. So PL jumped their caps out that were attacking the Astro House, and then the test fleet and them got in a fight, and PL wasn't holding, so PL dropped Triage, and then test dropped Dreads. PL redropped Dreads, and then Test and CO2 dropped Dreads and killed all of PL. So
yeah, so this is amazing. Like, I was watching this on the video, and they tried these new legions, which apparently have a significant amount of EHP. I'm not sure, but they were getting, like, when I watched the video, they were getting own zoned by hurricanes. Like, just boom, Legion dead, boom, Legion dead. What the fuck could they have done different here? Like, it doesn't seem like these new T3s are gonna work in this new game. Like, you didn't see any Proteuses. All I saw were Legions. All they have were Legions. Like, are Proteuses dead? Like, are they really gone?
Yeah, Proteuses are pretty dead. So are Tengus. Rip my 100 Tengu. Just saying. Yeah, Legions are good. Would I do an all Legion fleet? I wouldn't personally, but you know, whatever.
I would do an all Legion fleet, but hams. I don't know if I would do beams.
Well, I think that we've got choices, really, and it's still way too early in the T3C changes to actually see what is going to be used. But the interesting thing here is obviously PL, they went out. Didn't they do something somewhat similar to this the other day in Providence? Yeah. And they actually won that one?
So they did this in Providence where they dropped just caps and Macarials, and a very small amount of Macarials, and were like, okay, come at us. And the Macarials had enough facts. They had a capital umbrella. You know, Mittens always talks about the whole super cap umbrella, but nobody was going to drop caps on PL in Providence. But here, Tesla's like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. We're dropping 50 dreads. And that was the difference, I think. Whereas up there, like, Pen of Smash dropped his super carrier, 3 times? And didn't even, like, get touched. Kept warping it back in, kept getting tackled, didn't give a fuck. So I think that's the
So do you think that this is, just Providence actually being so beaten, historically, that, they just don't want to, escalate because they're just permanently worried about that?
Yeah,
it's more of, I don't know if they have the tools to escalate. It all comes down to, Test. This could have been something Test planned. We don't know. We don't have Tests to tell us. So they could have had dreads ready. They could have known PL was going to escalate, and they just had 50 dreads ready to go. So. Oh
my God! Another 33-month resub. J Dogs, thank you very much, sir. 33 months. That's
more eagles on that one. Yeah, it's
that's amazing. Hi, Lord Sizzo. But yeah, though this was planned. I don't know if it would be planned, but I do remember Test kept all their caps there, and I do know Test was I have a friend who's in Test, and he said they were screams to jump clone. So not only did Test own zone PL really hard here, they did it on a jump clone. They didn't even, like, they weren't even here. This wasn't like a, oh yeah, we live here, let's go form up and go fight. This was a holy balls awesome move. Like, that was so good. Oh, I was so excited.
Well, I've just had a thought as well. I don't like saying Black Eagles. I'm going to call them Beagles from now on. So one of my very first kind of executive orders will be Black Eagles are now called Beagles.
Oh Lord! All right, so that happened.
Anyway, move on.
Move
Before-
on.
Yeah, we've got other stuff going.
Quickly before we move on, I have to mention it.
Yeah, go
God
ahead.
damn it, Grath. Get rid of your gyros, please.
Oh.
On heatsink.
Yes. So for those that don't know, let me find someone linked the kill mail here. Grath Telkin had a gyro stabilizers fit on a Revelation. For those that don't know, gyro stabs worked on artillery. Oh boy.
There you
As
go,
we
it's
move
in,
on, we
Twitch
get to
chat.
mock Triumvirate in the channel. And Eric, I want your opinion on this because you seem to have an idea of what goes on in 0-0. Is this guy out of his fucking mind? Tri announced last week that they are invading their own. They're going to clean out Solar and all their pets. And then this audio log comes out where one of the internal pets was like, look, man, we don't want this to happen, so we're going to start protecting ourselves. And then he resets them instantly. Like, is this guy out of his fucking mind, or is he a smart guy for wanting to kill all his own pets?
I mean, I don't know any truth to the story or not. I haven't really looked into it, but yeah, I mean, we've done similar things in the past. Sometimes you got to kind of clear the fields away, and especially if you're going into a refinery patch and you want to make sure all the moons and all the possible output of those regions fill into your coffers before null changes forever.
So this is an audio SoundCloud of Grast, who's the CEO of Tri, talking to some of his pets, and he's like, "Look, you guys are against us. We're resetting you. How dare you? Bye."
Yeah, what is like the manifesto chap was the
Right.
one who got his hand caught in the cookie jar, as it were.
Yeah. The funny thing here, and I want your opinion, Moomin, is that he does this, but it makes him out to be like an asshole, right? Like, he sounds like he's like full of himself and how dare you go against us, kind of. But I don't feel like this would be something that a lot of like leaders would do.
Well, I don't know. You kind of say that, but you know, if you run any type of organisation, if you like sign up to a particular banner, well, you sign up to that particular banner.
Right.
And if you're no longer aligned, then yeah, sure, you like have an exit strategy and you can execute it in whatever way you like see fit. But equally, you need to accept the consequences of those like actions as well. I mean, it's like, you know, CO2, God bless them. You know, they obviously made some decisions about how they were going to like go, and that's absolutely fine. And I look forward to their demise at some point, which will happen invariably, because yet again we've seen them for the last year riding on the coattails of a more competent organisation.
Known as Test. Is that what you're
Yeah,
this?
weird that as well, isn't it? It's like
Tests are a lot more intelligent than CO2 ever will. But speaking of traitorous groups that go off, the best part to come out of this wasn't that Tri is killing their own, is that FCON announced publicly that they will be accepting anyone that Tri purges into their new coalition.
Yeah, I did see that, and I just thought, well, you know, there again, FCON, they're
Bastions of quality.
probably, well, the thing is, it's like they're relatively nervous, yeah, because shall we say, it's sort of like, if you look at that little cluster over there, you know, if I was bored, then I'd be looking at FCON.
Yeah, I don't even want to go into FCON. They're so bad. But speaking of things that are bad, NC Dot has been away from home for a while. So is PL. PL's currently getting ready for the Alliance tournament by living in Curse. It's usually what PL does. Elite PvP groups tend to take breaks right around now because the Alliance tournament's going on. I think they're all idiots, but that's just me. But NC Dot's not home. So Initiative has announced that they will be invading a homeless region known as Tribute, and every day making about 30 to 40 timers. Here's a link in chat for how this is going. The best part to come out of this was at one point NC Dot set their no SRP rule because nobody was going home to defend their space and just stayed deployed in Gehi. Is this what FozzieSolve was intended for? Like, I love FozzieSolve for this reason. No one's home, we're gonna invade your region. Is this where FozzieSolve's meant to work?
It's exactly what FozzieSolve was intended to do.
Because a lot of people hate FozzieSolve, but this is why I love it.
It sucks.
You leave home, and your home's gonna get burned down. I love this. What do you mean it sucks, Thomas?
As much fun as this is to watch here, that's not really good for the game, though. Because the result there is that everyone just sits at home because you can't go kick over someone else's sandcastle, or your space will be burned down by random people who aren't actually committing anything.
Well, I want to continue the medieval metaphor. Like, we're kind of in this age where everyone's building their castles. Ours is obviously built. We're just putting on new fucking floors. But that's not really good gameplay. It's going to be stagnant. You're going to see rage. Right. You're going to see small little skirmishes, but you're not going to see any meaningful conflict like this.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. The entire region is reinforced according to Timer Board. All the iHub stations, TCUs, everything the NC
28 upcoming timers.
Yeah.
Yeah, they gotta go home.
No, that's the best part, is apparently Pandemic Horde is signed on to defend this place. Unironically. Pandemic Horde has made it their new mission to defend it all. Yes.
God, they're such the bitches of that whole thing.
It's literally a year earlier, this would have been us right here having to defend this shit.
I am legitimately jealous of PL and NC Dot's ability to do this, to take these groups of people that they just kick around for fun when they're bored, and then still get them to come defend their space when they don't want to.
And I just want to point out, I am like the only director that unironically says that this would work, and I always wanted to treat ours like this, but no one would ever like, no, these are our friends. They're not slaves. They're not pets. And I'm like, it's so much easier when they're pets.
Okay, well, the thing is I will agree with you, gentlemen, completely. It is a wonderful thing to actually watch unfold, because it is absolutely masterful how PL particularly are able to control and influence as much of the map as they do by basically just treating people like shit. And it's jolly interesting.
It's an interesting psychological look at EVE, because you got to understand, for those of you that have been playing the game as long as I have, this is PL's dream. For 10 years now, PL has been trying to take groups of people to create as sort of like meat shields. Test was their experiment with the fountain thing. They tried to turn Brave Newbies into it, but Brave Newbies revolted, so Brave Newbies, collapsed on them and then quit and then reformed and said, "Fuck you, Dad." And now you have Pandemic Horde. It's like the dream of theirs. Have a group that'll defend all the stuff that you own, the money you own, the things that make you money, while you get to go off and do whatever you want. Like, PL's been deployed in Curse, 3 months now? And haven't had their solve touched once? Because Pandemic Horde is just going to
they've been deployed in Curse even longer. Remember when Pest and CO2 first moved down to take catch?
Oh fuck yeah!
On their heels were PL and NC. So that's back in January.
Right after the war.
Even before, yeah.
Yeah, right after January's war started.
I do like this Steedy guy in chat. He is definitely drinking the Horde Kool-Aid. Horde is memeing Inquirius quotes. Oh god. It's almost cringy.
Yeah, the funny thing is they've so for those that are unaware of what this guy's talking about, Horde has created what they call a new space violence, and are invading Quarius to get back at the initiative people invading Tribute. The thing is the difference here being, and Mobby can attest this, Volt lives in their space, right? They're attacking someone who is at home, living in their space, and just doing FozzieSolve with sheer numbers. Whereas in the case of you know what? Since Mittens isn't here, I'll do it for him. You have, in the sense of, Volt lives in their space, and they're having to defend it against overwhelming dudes, and we're over there helping them. But no one lives in Tribute. It's a bunch of AFK ratters and renters, right? Nobody lives in Tribute. So it's a huge difference in looking at it. But I love this. I love that the initiative's going through and just doing Operation Demand Tribute. This is wonderful. And then
I kind of, with the queeriest like stuff,
right.
It was always an experiment that we created, which was going to be to encourage smaller alliances to actually get a foothold into null and see how they do. Okay, so this is an opportunity for Volt to actually kind of either survive or not survive. To be honest with you, with this type of attack that Pandemic Horde are doing, to deal with it is going to be relatively easy if you kind of wise up to the tactics and work out what Pandemic Horde are down here for, which are apparently good fights, even though this time last year all of the Money Badger Coalition was promising that the North would be a haven of PvP activity, and we will have loads of stuff to do once we dismantle the big blue donut formed by those nasty Goonies. And the evidence of it is just the North is more blue than it has ever been before. Okay, and the thing is now these people are scratching around for content. And and it is just a lack of vision on the part of their leadership. Realistically,
the North is bluer. You're right about that. That's a good point. I didn't think about this. From Fountain, the northern tip of Fountain, all the way to Geminate is blue. Venal is blue to them.
Same map, different.
No, it's even more bigger because you got to realize, or more bigger. Wow, terrible grammar there. Larger, because all of Venal is blue to them. The guys that live in Venal, the Russians that didn't like us, they're blue to them. Geminate, which is the drone Russians, they're blue to them. And then you have Fountain and the pets, the Fountain Core pets. They're, what's that guy's called? I can't remember his name. Starts Ranker Bile and his group. They're blue to them. So it's actually even larger than it ever was with us. We held our little bit of space and packed it full of dudes. But that's just amazing.
It's a lot simpler than that, though. You can distill it because he's been this way for now about 3 years. It used to be a tripolar world. And now for the last few years, it's been a bipolar. It's only two organizations that effectively determine how all of Null goes, right? And it's been PL and Goons now for many, many years because all the other alliances on their own can't beat those, right? You have to gangbang somebody, right?
Yep.
So that's kind of where a lot of this is coming from. Is it's neither org wants to do these long cancerous grinds anymore. It's just not that compelling.
I like the way you word that, cancerous. It is so cancerous. Speaking of cancer,
the word I use is on a weekly basis.
Well, I like that. Speaking of cancer, we're coming up on the end of the show here. There's a couple of topics I want to get to. Lokis. We mentioned that Lokis might be a little broken. We're starting to see them out of Lowsec. Snuffbox used them in this fight recently to kill a supercarrier. You're also seeing them used out of small wormhole groups. And I looked at the early Loki last night. We're looking at almost double the alpha that a mutant can do. Double the effective hit points. Slightly slower. But everything else is better. In every way. This is the new RD mutant. For only about 50 million ISK more. I think it's 300 million for an RD Loki. Compared to 250 for an RD mutant. What the fuck? Did CCP really want to buff them that much? To see if people will actually roll with them that much? Or are they really not as good as they look on paper?
Well, I think we could just look at the Darkness Fleet that got owned in Delve. Lokis are good, but they're meh at best.
Oh, see, I didn't see that. I saw the ones that leaked recently where Darkness got own zone. They were using rattlesnakes, and they just got demolished by Lokis.
Well, I wouldn't use that example. That was a Cerberus fleet, not perfectly flown, but fairly well piloted by the FC. Own zoning because of so much alpha.
Okay.
Or that's what happened. They had just so many Cerberuses that those guys got just drowned.
Yeah, because I looked. The fit I was looking at had 80,000 hit points, which is huge for an RD cruiser. But you have to use a micro warp drive and shield, which has 1,000 sig. So
yeah, they were double or salvoing you guys.
Yeah. So I'm
and also I just want to clarify with that Darkness kind of T3 fleet in Delve. They had been doing stuff down south. They didn't really want to take those things home, so they were just looking to die in glorious combat. So that's an element of that, I think. But Alice, I think, did very well with those Serbs, and it was a good tool for the job. And from what I saw on the battle report, is Alice took absolutely no losses whatsoever. Didn't lose a thing.
Yeah, there's a difference between glorious combat and getting completely dumpstered.
Yeah.
And see, that's where I think the balance is going to be. Now, the chat's pointing out these were armor Lokis, and I'm looking at them now. They are armor Lokis, which Serbs just demolish. There's no range. But the shield ones, I'm looking at 120k. Like, I think the shield Lokis might be a good counter to, say, Gilas, and I'm looking for that. But we'll see. We'll see how this goes out. And then finally, one last thing before we call it a day here is that I noticed that Goons dropped their 9th Keepstar. Is there any other group in EVE that has the
Fake news.
the
No,
pure
it's all
economic
lies.
value coming out of Delve? Because 9 fucking Keepstars. Like, who's gonna want to grind that ever?
No, the best part is everyone gets to see that economic report every month showing us number one.
No, you were on the show before, Aerith, and you said that there was a push to get rid of the region-wide look at that economic report. So because it gives free intel to the enemies of wherever you live, they could tell how much money you're making, how much money you're not making. But now you're seeing it's still there. It's still showing every region by the month and very detailed. Is that a good thing for the game to have it that detailed?
It's a good thing for Goons.
Why is
Like
that?
the thing, like I truly believe it's too much intel for free. It should be removed.
Right.
That's how I view as a player what's good for you. But as a Goon, as an alliance leader, that you want to recruit people into your alliance,
Mhm.
it's a great advertising tool. So either way, on one side, a personal level, I would have preferred it got removed. But at an alliance level, okay, whatever.
Well, it doesn't really give away all that much about what we're doing. Everybody knows that we're mining the fuck out of Delve. But, like, what it does show is all the other regions that are ramping up as they ramp up and where the targets are.
Yeah, that's a good point. So because Goons is already known to be this giant farmland, but it does show. Okay, I see. So it shows more. That's an interesting way to look at it.
Now it's a recruiting tool. It doesn't hurt us. Like, we're past that phase.
We're past the phase
We're-
of.
We're
everyone
past the
knowing.
phase where Goons were. We were initially moved in. We were worried about defense. Like, we got to be prepared.
Right.
For all of you to come again just in case. And now it's gotten to it's absurd amounts of fortifications. Like, and it's continuing. We might as well just keep going, just to see and show CCP what can be done. Like,
Well, no, I think partly that, but inherently, I think that is part of something that is our ingrained nature, which is
Right.
we are empire builders. We like building stuff. Okay, so the thing is, if we built a thing, well, what do we do now? I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
we'll build another thing.
This is what I like about the game. And there's a lot of people that don't agree with me on this, but I think the reason that CCP can never balance this game to counter Delve at this moment is because Goons do what the game is designed to do to the extreme. We take the game rules, we say, okay, we're only allowed to do it within this parameter. Okay, we're going to push this parameter as far as in-game possible. We're going to put the most people in the single alliance. We're going to put the most people ratting and mining. We're going to put the most people in PvP ships. And we're just going to see how far up it could go. Like, I think we're almost at 30,000 now, people.
We're at 28,500.
Yeah, so we're almost at 30K. Like, that's just unheard of. It's going to get to a point where, like, the shit's just that big. Is that where you're looking at this going, it can only go up from here?
Sort of. So there's a lot more nuance to that. It's not
Yeah.
about just stopping people in alliance. Like, you only are able to scale in EVE, and this is like the great truth that most orgs haven't figured out. Like, Test and Horde definitely hasn't figured this out. You're only able to actually scale to the ability of your command and control. And so that's been the breakthrough in Goons. Like, you've seen us grow shortly after having new breakthroughs in command and control. Whether that's software, whether that's leadership abilities or talents through an org, that's when we grow. And so we've had a breakthrough after the war, and that's been very helpful.
Well, as I'm in charge now, I'm going to take credit for all of this. I might write a book
Thank
about
you,
it.
Moon Tonic.
All right, so yeah, we're out of time. We're at the limit. Seriously, thank you guys for coming. Thomas, I feel like you guys talked more.
No. Yeah, hold on.
Can I
though.
have one?
wanna-
Yes, go ahead.
I got dank leaks from Noobman. According to him, they have looted over 100 billion discs from the Keepstar, salvaged 26 billion discs from the Keepstar, and they seeded a total of 147 caps in that wormhole over 6 weeks.
Okay, and the bit that
Interesting.
I want to like kind of put across is I think it's Eve Down Under is the next kind of like large event
Yep,
to actually be happening, so that's definitely worth attending. Also, check out Imperium News for up and coming other events that we are doing. Also, you know, for the news, great guides as well, and all of those other lovely things.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but the next event I'm going to be attending is a beach in Mexico. So that's the next place I'm
Yeah,
going
well, I
with
don't
Coons.
care about that. The other thing that I care about is have we had any other subscribers or other people that we should mention on stream?
I'm checking right now. I don't think we have any new ones that we need to get to real quick before the end of the show here. Yeah, I think that.
Anyway, Beagles. I want to see Beagles on the way out.
I love beagles. But yeah, Mittens will be back next week. He's out of town for this week, like I was a couple weeks ago. So he'll be back next week, obviously. Seriously, thanks for coming, Moomin. Aerith and Anominate. We might see Anominate more often to give us nice, lovely updates from their CSM. And of course, Thomas, thank you for coming. Sorry we couldn't get you last week. I wanted to get you last week, but I couldn't find you. But yeah, that's it for today. I am off. We'll be back Monday with more Boat Show, and of course next week with more Meta Show. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Toodles.
You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the meta. The meta controls everything. The meta determines what will and will not happen. You are watching The Meta Show.